Good evening. Welcome to another edition of Burn and Learn, the Cigar Lifestyle Podcast. My name is Steve Mann. I'm here at Rebellion Cigar Room in downtown Leesburg. Happy to be here. I would like to say thanks to Shane and James for allowing us to record here. Beautiful venue, nice place to have a great bourbon as well as a great cigar. So I'm honored again and super excited to have Teresa Wessling back for this episode of Burn and Learn. As you may recall, Teresa was on an earlier episode and I told her I'd like to get her back. And so she was gracious enough to agree. And so I'd like to reintroduce you. And if you'd like to give a quick overview on your background, that would be awesome.
Well, the honor is mine. I'm really excited to be back. We have pretty good reason to come together and talk about some things. But my name is Teresa Wessling. I am a tobacconist at Georgetown Tobacco in Washington, D.C. And I've had the pleasure of getting to know Steve over the last couple of years. And so really excited to see where Burn and Learn is going and happy to be back.
Appreciate that. Thank you. So again, we're always excited when we have an opportunity to come together to have a great conversation as well as enjoy a great stick. So we're honored to be able to do that this evening. But we're really happy. We were able to, a couple of weeks ago, we spent a few days in the Dominican Republic where we attended ProCigar Festival 2026. For me, it was the first time. Teresa, first time for you as well. So Teresa curated a group of 6 of us, 7 including herself, of customers of Georgetown Tobacco. And I distinctly recall the email coming across late one evening with the invitation. And I didn't think twice. I had heard so much about ProCigar. I didn't really know what my in would be or how I'd be able to attend without having some sort of connection to a local cigar company. But with that invitation, I was right on that, and happy to see the vast array of options and things we could do during ProCigar. So we're going to spend some time this evening just kind of downloading about things we learned, some of the things we saw. So again, I just want to thank you for joining the show. But more importantly, I want to thank you for your friendship and for the invite for ProCigar. It was truly an amazing experience for me. We spent a few minutes over the past couple of days in a WhatsApp chat, the folks that attended, and just describing the experience, right, in one word. I think I heard words like excellence, epic. I think I used the word captivating. So we want to talk more about that.
And magical.
Magical,
was one
absolutely.
that I was like, wow,
It was, again, a great opportunity. As aficionados, we spend a lot of time at the very, very end of the process, right? We're in the lounge or the store talking to tobacconists like Teresa, and she's sharing and imparting wisdom about what she knows about a particular cigar or a particular manufacturer. Mm-hmm. And she does a magnificent job of that. But what you can't see and what we don't have enough time to talk about is that process from beginning to end. And when I say beginning to end, I literally mean going to the farm in the Dominican Republic and seeing the seeds that will be planted that will eventually become tobacco plants, and then walking through how that tobacco is processed, and then going to the factory when the full production is completed, as well as, quality control, wrapping, boxing, and getting it ready for consumption and for ship out. So we'd like to spend some time this evening just sharing with you what we learned during those few days. I think we spent a Tuesday afternoon through Saturday morning. Mm-hmm. So, but I'd love to know, Teresa, as you thought about attending ProCigar your first time, mm-hmm. Tell me how the whole concept came into saying, hey, I'd love to go. Let me curate a group and get an invite going. Just love to know what your thoughts were there.
Well, I'd heard great things about ProCigar. The 2026 festival that we attended was the 18th ProCigar festival that's taken place. And so I've heard over the years nothing but great things about ProCigar. I've been to the Dominican Republic before. I've been there with Davidoff. I was there 100 years ago and spent an amazing day with Manolo Casada. But to be a part of a festival like this, which is different tours of different factories or fields every day with a different event, dinner, party at night, I'd never been able to do that before. And we actually had one of our fellow travelers, Barrington, who's from Toronto. We have some great customers whose kids go to school in Washington, D.C., and they find Georgetown tobacco. And so I got to know Barrington, and the same was true for McAllis. Their sons go to different schools in D.C., and Barrington was talking about an upcoming trip to the Big Smoke. And I said, well, if you're going to go to the Big Smoke, where you really want to go is ProCigar. And I've been thinking about curating a trip and taking some customers. And he said, if you do it, I'll go. And so when you have that immediate support,
right,
you know, that's what I knew that there were other people, and I was really excited to get that enthusiastic, immediate response from you.
Yeah.
And it was just amazing to be able to, I mean, we'll talk more about it, but for me, being able to see this through your eyes was incredible. Like I felt like a proud parent, you know, but like it's incredible to take in all that information, all those steps, and to be able to see each of you for whom it was the first time as well at ProCigar was incredible.
Yeah, no, I think you pulled together an awesome group, but you know, Teresa kind of you know, look, there were folks in our group that weren't local to DC, right? She had two
from
guys
Canada,
right?
2 from Florida, and 2 from DC.
Right.
Yeah.
And so these are customers that at certain points have stopped into the store. Yeah. And Teresa's developed that rapport with those customers where when they got the invites, they were immediately on board. Yeah. I can recall Barrington as well as McAllis. Mm-hmm. Both of their sons go to Georgetown.
Well, one goes to Howard, one goes to Georgetown.
Oh, that's right. Barrington's son plays golf at Howard. Yep. That's right. McAllis' son is in the business school at Georgetown. Yep. That's right. But they were immediately on board, and I hadn't met any of these guys until that first evening, Tuesday night at the welcome reception. So it was an awesome group. I think we had a tremendous time. We all clicked as a group.
Yeah, and you
quickly.
Never know how that's going to go.
Right.
But I was optimistic. I was really optimistic, and it really was. Seeing that camaraderie really form as a group. You know, we all know this, when you enjoy cigars and that experience of just that sort of common denominator and how it brings everyone together. It doesn't matter what you did for a living, what you do for a living. They bring us together. Right. And that group of people, I think it was almost like you guys are already talking about other travel plans, which is pretty neat.
Well, I know at one point, and again, we'll get into the trip itself, but at one point we were at the airport. I think it was me, Barrington, and Tim, and we were talking about what the next trip is going to be. And they started to go down the road of, you know, ProCigar next year in the Dominican. I'm like, that's a year away. I'm talking about what are we doing in the next 90 days, right? Like, what are you talking about? Vegas, like Miami, what are we doing, right? And so it was a great conversation. And then, you know, that main flight back from the DR into New York, there were a lot of guys from the show on that flight, because then from New York, people were branching off and going to Florida or going to New Jersey or wherever the case may be. And there were other folks that we talked to about getting together, folks that we met during the show. So I think it's really cool. A lot of the people that we saw, we'll see many of them in a couple of months when we all come together at PCA. So we started talking about that. But, you know, I can tell you, after attending ProCigar, you know, I was blown away. And I remember when we talked about my first experience at PCA, I said the exact same thing. But again, as much as I enjoyed PCA, like the ProCigar, again, was just, it was more up close and personal as it relates to the process, right? So you were actually learning and seeing and watching other people do things that without having that experience, you take it for granted, right? So that was really cool. And then, you know, just being able to spend time first at the Davidoff farm, Snyder Farm, to see the crops being raised, and then going to the factory to see the tobacco being curated, the tobacco being processed, the process of rolling, quality control, packaging was just truly amazing. And now I really understand when people say that most cigars are touched 200-300 times before they get to the end customer. I completely understand that now.
Yeah. That is not a marketing tactic.
That is not a marketing tactic at all.
Davidoff will say from 300 hands to one, yours. Yeah. Easily understood. Once you finally see literally from the seed to seedling, right, to then being planted in the soil, harvested, fermented, aged, roll. I mean, it's just an unbelievable number of steps that go into creating a great premium cigar, and we got to see them all. Yeah, truly amazing. I think for me, I had a ton of learnings, right? Okay.
And they started almost immediately, right? So the first full day, Wednesday morning, we arrive at Snyder Farm, the Davidoff farm, and almost immediately I was struck by the amount of open land available for the tobacco growing. And I also learned almost immediately that they will never use a plot of land consecutively. They let the ground rest so that it can replenish the nutrients. Again, had no idea, right? So that's why they had so much land, because they're always resting a parcel.
Yeah. Davidoff uses 15 different zones. And when we were there, they were probably actively using 9 while 6 are resting.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, again, to make great cigars. Not everyone's following those same guidelines, but certainly the pro cigar factories are.
It was just amazing to see. And again, like I said, my learning started almost immediately, from the resting of the parcels to we watched at one point, there were women there kind of managing the seedlings before they planted them. And I'm truly amazed by this. Teresa knows what I'm talking about, because we talked about this on numerous occasions. But so there were women that were managing the seedlings before they were planted, and there were like hundreds of them on a table, and there were 2 bowls. And I'm like, okay, what's in the bowls, and why do they have gloves on? In the bowls, they had milk, and they were taking their hands, putting it in the milk, and then manipulating or managing the seedlings to provide nourishment before they planted them. I was truly amazed by that. Yeah. They were like giving the little babies milk. I'd never seen
milk
such
for the babies.
Never seen such a thing, but I'm glad they did that, because again, the learnings was just one thing after another.
It's a crazy amount of detail. And that, I think that was one of the things I appreciated about that Davidoff tour. Now, mind you, Pro Cigar is designed for everyone. You don't have to be a retailer or a tobacconist to go on this trip. And so they shared almost exactly the information that I received when I was there as a retailer with just 10 other retailers from the United States with Davidoff.
Gotcha.
Which, and I think in some ways it might have been like information overload for some people. But, that's the soil that they plant the seeds in to begin with is Canadian, right? They're trying to give those seeds every bit of the best possible chance to grow and nurture and be robust when they're finally planted in the field. Then the milk for the babies, when they go from the seedling into the little, Davidoff has, I think, 70 greenhouses where they're growing all those seedlings. And then that most delicate part, which you got to do, is when it goes from the seedling to be planted in the field. That's like the scary moment for a plant. So they're doing everything they can
to make sure that
they've got a sterile environment with Canadian soil, milk, gloved hands, to make that little seedling really have a chance to thrive.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. And then that leads right into my next learning. So from the seedling being planted, when I say seedling, they were this tall, right? But from seedling to full production, 75 to 90 days on average.
Yeah.
I would have thought it would have been much longer.
Yeah,
like
it's quick growing
very quick,
season.
right?
Quick growing season. And that's also why they always have ProCigar in February, because the fields are full. You know, we saw some fields that have already been harvested, and then others we still got to see those big tall plants.
Yeah, I think to your point, I did have an opportunity to plant a seedling, which I thought was really cool. But we later learned that, you know, while we were doing that, you could see the drip lines for irrigation.
Yep.
I assumed that the drip lines just had water in them. But I learned on the factory tour, like 2 or 3 days later, that the water is infused with fertilizer. Mm-hmm. So they're not out fertilizing the plants as they grow. They're getting fertilizer right into the roots with the water.
Yeah, and natural
that's
fertilizer.
Genius.
Yeah.
That's genius.
Yeah, and expensive. That was a pretty huge investment on Davidoff's part. But they're able to conserve something like 80% of the amount of water that they would have otherwise needed by using that drip irrigation system. Right. So they're not just trying to obviously make the plants grow, give those babies a chance to thrive, but also do what they can to support the Dominican environment as well.
Yeah, I think, again, a lot of what I learned, I was just truly amazed by. You know, most people were, and myself included, taking a lot of videos and photos. Mm-hmm. I was also on my phone taking notes, mm-hmm. right? So I constantly bounced between my camera for video, my camera for photos, and notes, right? I took pages of notes. Yeah. There was just so much to learn. And being exposed to that was an experience like no other.
And it's a spirit, to me, I don't know how you felt, but to me, that being in that field of Finca Schneider, it was my second time there. It was every bit as special as it was the first time. I mean, to me, that's a spiritual place. And you're seeing these beautiful red curing barns that Davidoff is famous for. Mm-hmm. Beautiful fields. You're right in the middle of the Cibao Valley where all of this tobacco is being grown. And it just has a special feel. I don't want to jump ahead, but like what it's like in the curing barn, but like you cannot imagine what that experience is like without having been there.
Yeah. No, we were in the barn for a while, and you can see the process that goes into that. The meticulous. One thing that struck me is that every single employee, and this wasn't just at Davidoff. Mm-hmm. All the tours that we went on, every employee had such a sense of pride in their work. Like you don't see that often. Yeah. Every employee, it didn't, we went to Davidoff, we went to Fuente. Every employee was completely proud of the work they were doing and proud of the accomplishments that they were, what they were lending into. So that was a learning for me, because you don't see that all the time.
It really is. It's funny. It struck me how much ProCigar was, of course, a celebration of our industry and of Dominican tobacco, but it is just as much a celebration of their heritage, of Dominican culture. And I think what you just said to me highlights that. Yeah. Like there was so much Dominican pride in everything that we got to participate in. That's palpable. Yeah. And it feels great. Yeah. Like I just want to go back.
I know. And for me, again, not only was I amazed by that, amazed by everything that I saw, but I had never been to the DR before. So just taking in how beautiful the country is just, it was amazing.
The beaches yet.
I did not get it.
Yeah, just wait.
What was I thinking? We should have stayed a couple days and gone to the beach.
But weren't you tired? Weren't you ready? That was a lot.
Well, yeah, but there's a difference between, doing tours all day and then partying all night and going for a few days to hang out on the beach, right?
All right.
So something to think about as we get ready for next year. Yeah. But yeah, so I think what would be awesome. So the experience at Snyder Farm was awesome. Mm-hmm. Do you want to move right into the Davidoff factory tour?
Do you want to skip Jicame and the processing? Because we saw two different.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. We should go through that.
Yeah. So once we got to go to the field, then we went to Jicame, where Davidoff has their processing facility for tobacco. And the first thing you see when you walk in is where they are fermenting wrapper leaf. The size of that room where they are fermenting just wrapper is, I think, still to me kind of overwhelming. And when they're fermenting tobacco, this is, we've talked about that it's done in what they call pilones, these big piles where the tobacco, after it's been air cured, now it has to ferment. And so what they're doing is giving more time for the tobacco to release any of the toxicity in the leaf, natural toxicity in the leaf, whether that's nicotine, ammonia, and depending on the type of leaf, both the varietal and where on the plant it came from, the fermentation is going to be anywhere from 6 months to a year, in some cases 2 years. And in those big piles, they are constantly measuring the heat and the humidity.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
It's all done through the pressure and the weight of those big piles. And we saw as they were starting to flip one of the piles, it takes 2 guys hours.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I should look back at my notes because I want to almost say it takes a day to like flip a whole pilone.
Yeah.
Once they've measured it, they're like, okay, time to flip it so that we were maintaining even temperature and humidity. And then we got to see, and it's funny. So I don't know if you realize that the gentleman who was seated, who was testing the tobacco, that's Julio Martinez.
Wow.
Julio Martinez. And I recognized him, but I thought he wasn't. Normally I see him in the factory. I had not seen him in the fermentation area before.
Okay.
So there is a team of people who are constantly testing that tobacco that's fermenting to make sure that it's doing what they expect it to, and also to judge when it's time to come out of the pile and move on to the next step in the process. Julio Martinez has been with Davidoff for over 30 years. He is one of their master rollers. If you've ever had a master's blend from Davidoff, it's his name on the cigar. And so he was the one who was taking off the wrapper of an already made blend and cigar, putting on the leaf that's been fermenting, and then testing that to see if it was doing what they would do. They would also hold the leaf out, and we watched them as they do the burn test, where I think you need a minimum of something like 28 seconds for it to burn to show that it's ready. They're also looking at the color of the burn ring. I mean, the amount of detail that goes into managing through this tobacco and the amount of detail that they shared with us on that trip, I thought was really pretty incredible.
Yeah, I would agree. I was surprised by that. The open and honest nature of their operations. I mean, I would venture to guess out of all of the tours that we went on, we were open to take photos and videos of about 80%
or more
of those tours.
It's just the seed bank and packaging, because there's new stuff that nosy people like me who know what to look for on the eye, like we're looking for it. And then seed bank makes perfect sense too, right? Davidoff has 2 redundant seed banks, one in the Dominican Republic, one in Honduras.
Yeah.
We weren't supposed to take pictures in there.
Gotcha.
So.
Yeah, I know. I did. But to your point, outside of a couple of excluded processes and areas, we were free to take videos and
when you
pictures.
talk about pride, especially at Davidoff, that process, their process. And again, the thing that's a marketing tagline that's not just a marketing tagline, Swiss precision and Caribbean passion. Hamlet said when we were there, if you have passion and you combine it with hard work, you're making art. And that's really how they feel about what they're doing. And that process from seed, and with Davidoff, they call it from seed to shop, because they also are very involved in choosing the retailers who are able to sell Davidoff. There's something that they're very proud of and that they've developed over years. And it's still being perfected.
Yeah, I would say my learnings from that portion of the tour was that once the tobacco's been processed and it's ready to be aged, they package it up in burlap squares, if you will, and each one of those packages,
bales,
has a tag
Mhm.
that describes when it was planted, when it was harvested, what plot, what
Yeah.
area, the weight, and each one of these things was 115 pounds or so.
Yeah.
And in a particular area that we saw, they must have had thousands of 115-pound bales of tobacco being cured and,
Yeah. And they
readying
have
for.
12 of those warehouses.
I was amazed by that.
Yeah.
So you could quickly do the math, right?
Yeah.
Thousands of those, 115 pounds apiece in multiple locations. And that goes to show you how they're able to produce at the level that they're able to produce. The other thing that people, I think, don't always have an appreciation for is that some of that, depending on the particular cigar that they're manufacturing, some of that tobacco is aged for 5, 7, 10 years before it's used. And we saw that. We were able to take pictures. I think on one of the particular bales that I got a picture of, we're in early 2026.
Mm-hmm.
The label said September of 2015.
Ah.
And it was still there resting.
Yeah.
So that's more than 10 years.
The tobacco we saw in the field, the earliest that's going to be used in a Davidoff cigar is 2031. Earliest.
Just based on their processing, right?
Yeah.
The earliest. And that's for
5 years.
Yeah,
minimum.
depending on the cigar that it's used for, could be much longer than that.
Could be much longer than that.
Yeah, it's really cool. I think the other thing that was interesting was what did Hamlet call it? The tobacco spa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there was an area, literally it was a spa. It was very hot and humid, very wet. The floor was wet. It was a spa for the tobacco.
Yeah. So after the tobacco sits in those beautiful big bales, and now they've decided that it's time to use that for actually blending a cigar, that tobacco has to wake up.
Yeah.
From potentially years of sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
So they get to go to the spa and bring back the humidity level to a higher point, because when they actually start to work with the tobacco, it has to have some flexibility too.
Because I would imagine after, say, resting for 10 years, it's probably fairly dry and brittle.
Well, I mean, it's kept at a certain humidity point while it's aging, but it's certainly not at a point where you'd able to work with it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's got to come back.
Yeah, that was again just a ton of learnings.
Yeah,
just seeing the separation of the tobacco leaves by color, right?
And done by whom?
Done by women.
Yes, and
because
why?
The explanation that we were given by Hamlet is that women have a stronger eye for color.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we saw them sorting leaves that were ready to go into production, and they're sorting them by color. And this is all like a half a second decision, right? They pick up a leaf, and they've, the lady may have 6 piles in front of her, and she's constantly taking a quick look and dropping it into a color stack, if you will. And they're doing that over and over, thousands of times,
and highly
every day.
supervised too. And those supervisors have decades of experience. That's very important work, the color sorting. I mean, there's sorting based on color. There's other sorting that happens based on size, So, but the color piece is key. And you're such a good student. You passed the test.
I was paying attention. Believe me, I was, again, just wanting to soak up and learn as much as I could. And what an outstanding opportunity to do that, right? Like, Hamlet spent so much time discussing the pride and the process that goes into their end product.
Yeah.
It's hard not to be fully engaged in that,
yes.
at least listening, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Anything strike you in that piece of the process?
Differently the second time around?
Mm-hmm.
Like you, I was so blown away the first time. And the first time I was constantly taking notes on my phone because I wanted to capture as much of it as I possibly could. I think, let's just start with the fact of who Hamlet Espinal is. Hamlet is the president of Davidoff. which is the name of the factory in the Dominican Republic that produces these amazing cigars. He's also their vice president of worldwide production. So he oversees what's happening in Honduras with Camacho. He's overseeing what happens with Avo and Zeno and Paul Gramirian's cigars. I mean, he's the guy.
Yeah.
He's the guy giving us the tour.
Right.
You know?
Amazing.
I mean, we are learning from the person he has 100% of the responsibility for what's happening with over 2,000 employees for Davidoff there, just in the Dominican Republic. I think it was really quite an honor. And for him to share that time, we also got to learn from Carlos, was part of the process that we got to see in terms of, he's their chief agronomist.
Mm-hmm.
So again, learning from really the masters behind the production of these incredible cigars. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. I mean, I think, again, we first went to the farm, then we went to and saw the fermentation process, and then kind of moving along in the process, I think it was Friday morning where we went to the production facility, a different location. And again, the learning started all over again, right? Just the care and the process that goes into, when you think about people growing tobacco or farming, you think about it as being something that could potentially be conceived as rudimentary. But when you see this process and, the Lean Six Sigma processing in the KPIs and the metrics and the dashboards, you're like, wait a minute, what are they producing, right? You would think that they were producing high-end cars or, electronics. They take the same approach to their production, which is amazing, right? Yeah. We spent some time talking about their analytics and their KPIs, right? They're testing constantly as the tobacco moves through the process. The quality control at every step, anybody can raise their hand and say, I think I see a problem. Yeah. And it will instantly draw the attention of supervisors that will help them come to the right decision on each leaf in each cigar as it moves through the process.
And their rejection rates are incredibly low because of the level of detail and attention that is paid along in this process. It's really, it's astounding. I mean, I think the thing that for me, and there are a couple of things that I love about the factory and just seeing the different varietals of tobacco leaves and what they look like. But when we were in that blending center where they are literally weighing each leaf before the packs are put together that go to the rollers. So by the time the tobacco is getting to the roller, all they have to focus on is creating the cigar.
Right.
Everything else has been taken care of. And they know exactly how many cigars that bag, based on weight, should produce. And so then if they are not producing that many cigars, when they are weighed again, they know that there's an issue.
Yeah, they'll stop, and they have processes in place to stop, investigate, adjudicate, and figure out the solution, which again, it's a very sophisticated approach to their production. And I think, again, I mean, I've, in prior lives, I've toured manufacturing plants for electronics, and they're using the same type of Lean Six Sigma processing and analysis for their end product as somebody that's manufacturing cars, electronics, TVs, you name it, right? And so I think that was another learning for me that I quickly started to understand, one, the 200 to 300 hands, as well as the ultimate price of the end product, given all of the technology, the processing that goes into it.
Yeah.
Right.
It makes $20 for a cigar seem really reasonable.
Right.
Right.
All of a sudden, I had a whole different perspective when I'm at the retail location shopping in the humidor. Yeah. Have a whole different level of appreciation and perspective on that now. I think, by the time we got to the area where we got to witness the rolling, truly amazing. Just the production and the repetitive nature, but not sacrificing any quality in that process was truly amazing. Just having people, it's the cutting of the wrapper to wrap the precision of the entire thing.
Yeah.
And you would think that as you do something like that over and over, hundreds of times an hour, hundreds of times a day, you would look to maybe cut corners, and that
Nope.
there were no indications that anything like that was happening, which was awesome.
No. Yeah. I mean, it's so when we're on the galera, the rolling part of the factory there, Davidoff has 105 pairs of rollers. So you have the person who's putting the filler and the binder together in a bunch,
Mhm.
and then you have the person who's putting on the wrapper. You have to have a minimum of 10 years of experience to be on that factory floor at Davidoff. And it shows.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really shows.
I think the one thing that was also really cool, to your point, the rollers work as a team.
Yeah.
So you have the person with the binder and the filler,
Mhm.
and then right beside them is the roller.
Mhm.
So they're pulling together the binder and the wrapper. They're creating bundles, if you will,
Mhm.
and those bundles go immediately to the roller,
Well, molds first, right?
the molds.
And then after they've spent whatever amount of time they're supposed to spend in the mold, then the guy who's putting the wrapper on, or a woman, right? They're both in the factory, are taking them out and then putting on the wrapper, which is just incredible. I never tire of watching that.
I think one of the things that was really cool is there were a couple of Davidoff events here locally that I wasn't able to attend, but I saw the advertisement for the master roller.
Aura was
Yeah,
here.
Yeah. So she, I think, did she come to a Georgetown event?
We didn't do an event, but she
Okay.
came to the store.
Gotcha.
And I had met her when I was there 2 years ago. Then she came to the store a few months ago, and literally from across, this was with parts that's fun for me, right? Like going back and Hamlet knowing who the heck I am. Like that kind of blew my mind. And then Aura, I saw her from across the factory floor. She was wearing this bright green sweater.
The green sweater.
And I
Absolutely.
just started waving, and
She recognized you.
and she waved, and it was just so cool to see. And they're now, and she is one of two. Davidoff has 8, I believe it's 8 master rollers. They are also the people who supervise, but they're the ones who are rolling the royal release, the limited edition.
Sure.
And there at the last year or the last time I went, there were only 2 women in that role, and now they've added a third. So she's been there over 15 years, and pretty remarkable woman. And yes, she's the one who comes when they do events, very special events in the U.S.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll see her again next year.
Yeah. No, I remember distinctly. As soon as you pointed her out to me, I looked over and I'm like, absolutely, because I've seen her face on a lot of different things.
Mhm.
So I went over and introduced myself as well.
Yeah.
Right? Just an opportunity to meet and chat with her was really awesome. But you want to talk about, having the role as a master roller at Davidoff really speaks volume to not only their experience, but their leadership capabilities,
100%.
because they're managing teams of rollers and they're answering questions and helping them adjudicate any issues. Like, you could see all of this happening on the floor.
Yeah.
And it was quite inspiring to watch. It was really a good time.
Yeah.
And then, you kind of move from the rolling, and then next step is straight into.
Well, they're going to rest, right? So now they have to rest. Depending on the cigar, that's when we walk into that room, and Davidoff puts their cigars in crates of 100 and allows them to rest for whatever period of time that's going to be before they're packaged and shipped. And so we walked into that room where there's just piles and piles and stacks of these crates that I know are filled with things that we love,
right?
And they're just waiting, and they're labeled just like everything else along the way.
Yeah.
It's pretty exciting to think about when those are actually going to be set free, and we'll see them at Georgetown Tobacco. I mean, those are the moments that you wait for.
Yeah, I think it was really cool. Again, for me, my learnings, as we went through that process, the number and the level of inspection, right? Like, there are times when the rollers or the quality control folks are managing their processes, they may not know unequivocally what cigar that is because it's obviously not banded yet, but they know exactly what cigar it is, right? Just by the look and the feel, which to me was truly amazing because Davidoff has a complete line. So for folks to know what that cigar is, it's unbanded, not packaged yet, but they still know. And they're constantly doing check-ins and check-outs before those cigars move to the next step. I think one of the things that was really cool is that if there's a question about the quality of an end product, what was the name of the machine? The Draw Master, right? So the Draw Master is a machine. We saw it. We didn't get to see it in action, but the Draw Master allows the inspectors to get an estimate of the draw on the cigar before it's given a final blessing for packaging. And really, without cutting or lighting the cigar, they're able to put it in a machine and test that cigar's ability to draw to provide a wonderful smoking experience. And so I thought that was really cool because I'm thinking, okay, without cutting it and without lighting it, how are you really testing it? But apparently this machine has the capability to do that. Truly amazing.
And that's not unique to Davidoff. Most of the factories are using those draw testers. But that's that, again, attention to detail and where the difference in that process of Davidoff, where the rejection rate is like, what, 0.003%? Like, it's crazy how finely honed those teams are. And so that I know, I mean, generally when someone's come into the store and they're going to try their first cigar, the first cigar I recommend is a Davidoff 2000, often, because I want to make sure that their first experience is a great experience. And I know that every time you cut and light a Davidoff, it's going to have a perfect draw. It's going to burn evenly, and it's going to be a great experience.
I know the Davidoff 2000, the signature 2000. It's a beautiful cigar, and my buddy Gerald, he'll smoke a cigar every now and again. That is his go-to, right? Somehow I lucked upon that for him. And I know when I'm going to travel with him, I bring those because that's the only cigar that he'll smoke.
They say that cigar is so popular, every 30 minutes someone is lighting a Davidoff Signature 2000.
I can believe it.
And I learned on this trip that when they were weighing those packs, that the expectation for a roller is that they'll make 600 2000s in a day.
Wow.
Another shape like a Perfecto where it's tapered at both ends, they might make more for like 450. But a Davidoff 2000 would be about 600 in a day.
Yeah, it was truly amazing. And then, they go through their final quality control, then they rest, and then they're ready to be packaged. And we're able to see that process as well. Really cool.
Really cool. Especially if you've ever tried to put cigars back in their cellophane. When we see the cellophane, it's already been around this tube for a long time. And it's not easy. Right? These women are taking it when it's been
pressed
flat.
It's flat.
And it's all done by hand. Everything is done by hand.
Absolutely.
And inspected again. It's incredible.
I think but it's not only amazing to see it, but the repetitive nature without the loss of any quality was just amazing to me. And part of the former banker in me came out, and it was striking. My learning from watching the factory tour is that you can either invest in processes that will guarantee a good result, or you can skip steps during the production and catch it on the back end, but that increases your reject rate. So I'm absolutely certain that Hamlet and his team have determined that it's more cost effective to invest in the process to reduce the rejection rate than it is to maybe spend less on the process but have a higher reject rate. And so they've got it down to a science, and they they're doing a magnificent job of that every day.
I'm so glad you got to see that.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
I loved every second of that.
Yeah.
It was amazing. So that was Davidoff. Again, learned so much, and it was truly amazing to see the process from beginning to end. So that was a highlight of the trip. One of the other highlights that I didn't even fully appreciate as I got ready for the trip was our Thursday afternoon with Manny.
Yeah.
And I'll let you go into maybe how you met Manny and how we lucked upon being able to sit and have a conversation with him and his father and what that meant and what that family means to the cigar industry worldwide.
Yeah. So Eladio Diaz, who created a factory called Tabacalera Diaz Cabrera about 3, maybe 4 years ago now, was the talk of the industry when it happened, because Eladio was the master blender and oversaw production for Davidoff for over 30 years. In that time, he personally created over 3,400 blends.
Wow.
And one of the things that I find so compelling about Eladio's accomplishment is that I think, anyone can create a new cigar blend. And we all get excited about what's new, but to be able to maintain consistency in a blend over decades, when you think about the nature of the soil, how much rain, how much sun, was there a hurricane that year, all the variances that happen along the way that a person can't control, right? Because Davidoff can control every part of the process. They cannot control the weather.
Absolutely.
And that impacts what happens with those leaves. For Eladio to be able to create so that the Signature 2000, when you tried it in 1996 and you try it today, that they're the same cigar is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So for me, Eladio is the GOAT. I've said it, and I'll say it many times, that the word legend gets used and overused in our industry.
Yeah, absolutely.
1,000%. Eladio is a legend.
Yeah.
He's a legend. And so a couple of years ago, when Eladio introduced his brand, I actually met his son Hector first.
Okay.
So at the PCA trade show, we knew the cigars. So they're distributed by a company called Arango. And so we went to the Arango booth, and there I met Hector. And Hector, who is actually in charge of operations at the factory and not comfortable in that sales role, but still very, very capable of explaining the cigars, the story. At that time, they were introducing a cigar called the Before and After. And then when Eladio was still at Davidoff, every year he would create a special blend for his birthday. And his friends and family were able to enjoy those cigars. Now that he has his own factory, we are all able to enjoy those cigars as a limited edition. So he's done one for his 71st birthday, was the first released by TDC. Then the 72nd, and then this year we'll see the 73rd, hopefully at the trade show in April.
Gotcha.
And so the following year, this is what for me is crazy about social media. So I do our social media for Georgetown Tobacco, and we try to make education fun.
Right.
So we do a little series called Don't Be Like Bob. And poor Bob, my colleague Bob, who doesn't do anything wrong, I make him do things the wrong way, and then I teach, how he should have done it, and then don't be like Bob. So last year, we walked into the Arango booth, and there's this young man standing there who I don't know, and he looks at me and he says, "Don't be like Bob," with this Dominican accent, and I'm like, what is happening right now? Turns out that that's Emmanuel Diaz, Manny Diaz, Eladio's son, who is in charge of sales and marketing for the company.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh my gosh, can we please make a reel and you do that again?
Start over, right back up.
And let's talk about the 72.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what we did. And what I've really appreciated about Manny, just with how he champions the company is that when we buy from a distributor, you don't often hear from the manufacturer, particularly from a smaller boutique. And Manny, and I can tell I'm not in his calendar as a sales call. It's just a WhatsApp message. Hey, how's everything going? What can I do to help? And in a very genuine way that I really appreciate. And so I had reached out to him when we decided to go to ProCigar. And I said, hey, are you coming to any of these events? And he said, well, I hope you will come to the factory. And I said, well, I'm bringing a group of customers with me. Yeah. And he said, it would be our honor to host you and your group at the factory.
So let's just pause for a second, just so we know what's happening here. So to Teresa's point, Eladio Diaz was the master blender at Davidoff for 30 years. Mm-hmm. All of the Davidoff cigars that folks are enjoying and smoking right now are Eladio's creation. Yeah. So when Teresa says Eladio is the GOAT, she's literally means he's the GOAT as it relates to blending. Yeah. And so to have an opportunity to sit with Eladio and sit with Manny and tour their production facility was something that I didn't even appreciate when I saw it on the list of things for us to do. Yeah. It wasn't until I was about 15 minutes into the chat that I really appreciated and understood who I was sitting with. Yeah. I just didn't have an appreciation for that. Yeah. So Eladio, who doesn't speak much English, so Manny gave us a quick overview of his father's story, with Eladio chiming in, right, as he could. Just wonderful stories about, both of their experiences in the industry over decades, which was awesome. But the exciting point was having the opportunity to go to the rolling area at TDC and have Eladio personally hand roll cigars for us. Literally, he rolled them and handed them to us individually. I was absolutely amazed by that.
Yeah. Let's back that up just because we're sitting in there. Now, one of the things that I was excited about, obviously, besides getting to meet and spend time with Eladio and to spend time with Manny, was the opportunity for the group, having seen Davidoff, having seen Arturo Fuente, having seen Ipicarillo, La Flor Dominicana, these bigger factories, to actually then see a boutique factory and what that's like, where Davidoff has 105 pairs of rollers. TDC has 10. Right? Yeah. It's much smaller and intentionally so. I mean, it's incredible what they have done and what Eladio has done to create this legacy for his family and for his sons. And his 3 sons work in the business. His wife is the GM of that factory.
Yes.
And so we're sitting in their office, just talking, enjoying a cigar, hearing Eladio's story. And then Eladio goes and gets up and he starts walking out. And Manny says, excuse me, father, the rollers have left for the day. He's going to go roll cigars for you now. Now, keep in mind, I was like,
what's happening right now?
Manny had told me earlier, his father normally comes in at 6:30 in the morning and leaves at 2.
He's 72 years old, by the way.
We weren't going to get there until 4. Yeah. And he was going to stay to meet with us, which I thought was incredible. Yeah. Manny had said the night before, hey, Dad, don't come into work so early. Like, come later. No, he had been there since 6:30 in the morning.
Wow.
And to personally, and then to present it, in this very beautiful, humble, the humility. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what else to say other than the handful of truly great men that I know are also some of the most humble that I know. Correct. I work for one of them, right? David is, to me, one of those people. David Berkebile is the owner of Georgetown Tobacco. Eladio Diaz is one of those people. Yeah. And so it was really, it was an honor.
No, it was awesome. And one of the things that I thought was also really cool is I know this was probably partially Manny's personality as well as Eladio's. Like, they determined that because Manny was friends with Teresa, that he was instantly friends with all of us. Mm. So all of the friendship that he extended to Teresa, he extended to each one of us personally, which again I was struck by.
From
Even
the night we got there.
even after I got home,
Yeah.
Manny sent me a note on WhatsApp, which is a picture of him waving hi, which I'm like, this is Manny Diaz, right? So I'm like, okay, how do I respond to this, right?
Yeah.
So it was really cool. And then, so we're texting back and forth, and finally, he's not comfortable with that, so he calls me.
Wow.
So I'm talking to him. When are you coming back? I'm like, hey, like tomorrow if I could, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we just had a wonderful conversation. And again, it was almost as if we were friends for forever, right? Even like you said, that first night, which was 2 days before we actually toured, we met him one evening at Saga, and he walked up to us and handed us the La Diana cigar and asked us to enjoy them. So I had an opportunity to do that, and outstanding cigar. And that's what I've got. I've got the La Diana for tonight. And again, I was just struck by the friendly nature, the hospitality, the sharing of their information, the sharing of their lives. It was so much more than I had anticipated, but it's truly a magnificent experience.
Yeah, incredible. I mean, even that first night, I thought that, so the first night begins with this warm-up festival, which had, really heavy hors d'oeuvres at the party, which for me would have been enough. But I'm there with 6 guys. I should have known.
Right.
I'm there with 6 guys, and all of it's like, well, what are we doing for dinner? And I'm like, uh-oh. What are we?
She's like, wait a minute.
So I'm texting Manny, and I'm like, where do I take these guys for dinner? And he goes, come to Saga. I'm here. And so we weren't able to sit back where everybody smokes while we ate, but we had an incredible dinner, and then got to go back and, and then he invited us back to sit with him, and he drove us home.
He drove us home.
Yeah. Unbelievable extension of hospitality and kindness, and certainly an experience that none of us will forget and be reminded every time. I mean, the first time I smoked that cigar that you're smoking, the La Diana, I'm curious your thoughts. You could have told me that was a $20 cigar. That's an $11 cigar.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And the one that I'm smoking now is actually one that he gave us, that Eladio gave to us when we were there. Not the one that he rolled, but one that they'd created, that Manny was caught off guard that he gave these to us. He's like, I didn't know he was going to do this. They're calling this the challenge cigar. They don't know what they're going to do with it.
Yeah.
It is a blend, and I've always appreciated that Eladio's blends, he likes a complex blend. Typically a cigar, when it's made, a premium cigar will have maybe 3 different tobaccos used in the filler, a different tobacco used for the binder, and then another tobacco used for the wrapper. So 5 typically different tobaccos used to make one blend. Mm-hmm. This cigar has 9 different tobaccos. 9 different tobaccos. It's a double binder, a wrapper, and then 6 different tobaccos in the filler.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
And it is an amazing cigar. So I can't wait to see what they call it. And I can't wait to sell it. Manny, I can't wait to sell this.
I can't wait to.
Thank you.
I can't wait to try it.
Yeah.
However, I don't think I can bring myself to smoke the one that he gave me. So I'm hoping somehow along the way I can get another one. Because again, when I walked out of that factory, there's a special place in my humidor for the cigar that Eladio handed to me. And then the challenge cigar, they're in a separate bag on a separate shelf in my humidor, clearly labeled.
Yeah.
And not to be mistaken for any other cigar.
So what's the occasion going to be?
I have no idea. I was reading a blog post the other day. I forgot who wrote it. But it was all around the concept of the occasion is today, right?
Yeah. Michael Herklot says that a lot too. Make the cigar the occasion.
Right. So I completely understand that, and I buy into it, but I'm still not lighting those 2 cigars. Right? I just can't bring myself to do it.
Well, Steve, for me, being back on your podcast was enough for me to make this the occasion.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Appreciate it. So again, a ton of learnings around cigar production, but I learned a lot about the Dominican culture, right? Things that you don't see or get to know until you experience it, right? Manny and Eladio's hospitality, right? Who would have known that they were such magnificent, warm, and wonderful people, right? And so who would have known that I would be chatting with Manny days after I got home, right? Asking me when I'm coming back and, making arrangements when he comes over to the States. So absolutely look forward to that. Any other learnings that struck you during our experience from a couple weeks ago?
There are a couple. I mean, we didn't talk about the Fuente factory, right? Which was its own incredible experience. And that was my first time there. Very marked difference from the Davidoff factory.
Yeah.
Now, we know Fuente to be the maker of exceptional cigars that are exceptionally consistent. I mean, right? They're phenomenal. The difference to me is the difference between, it's the way I think about it, the Swiss and Carlito. And I don't know Carlito well, right? I meet him at different occasions. He knows David certainly much better than I would know him. But every time I see him, he comes across as being truly full of heart. He really leads with his heart.
Absolutely.
That factory is led with heart.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
passion. And the music is blasting, and it's, there's just this feeling and mood that the factory is designed to look like a beautiful hacienda that just has room after room after room. It was like a never-ending maze of different galleries where people are rolling the different blends, including Ashton, that are made there at the Fuente factory.
Sure.
And so it's a bigger operation there. I think they had 270 pairs of rollers. And just you could just feel the love. You could feel the passion.
Yeah.
We had the great fortune of being on this tour with Eric Newman, who is the president of JC Newman, who distributes Fuente throughout the United States.
Sure.
And again, another one of those industry greats. Eric was a pivotal person in our fight against the FDA and the regulation of premium cigars. His voice and his work was very much at the center of that fight. And so, again, he's another one of these people who knows David, but I don't know him. So I went up and introduced myself. And then we had our own, encyclopedic knowledge
Absolutely.
as we walked through the factory.
Absolutely.
And he was incredibly gracious. And so, yeah, that was pretty amazing for me too.
Yeah, I would say Fuente, obviously having an opportunity to chat with Carlito was awesome. Again, I've seen him at a number of events. And he is hospitable to everyone, right? Just a guy that's very passionate about his process, his family, his company, and his end product, right? Yeah. And I think what struck me, being able to tour Fuente and being able to tour Davidoff, two exceptional end products. Absolutely some of the best cigars you'll ever have. But the look and feel was very different. And it struck me as an awesome thing to contrast different approaches, the same wonderfully crafted end product, right?
Yeah.
So there were a number of different ways to get to the same end result. And that was one of my key learnings after comparing both experiences.
Yeah. Passion being at the core of both.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that was being able to go through Davidoff, tour Fuente, and then comparing it to Manny and Eladio's factory. Yeah. Just truly magnificent opportunities. Yeah. So it was a great time. And so as I reflected getting back home, I'm just wondering, what is this experience going to look like next year, right? Because again, I'm hoping that you curate another group next year
I have a feeling the group's going to be a little bigger,
Right.
a little bit bigger. It was fun for me. And we didn't talk about nighttime. I mean, at night, these dinners and parties that we attended were exceptional.
Absolutely.
Beautiful venues, incredible lighting, incredible food. Of course, you know, the booze is flowing.
Absolutely.
Live music, DJs, performances, like Broadway caliber performances from different Dominican dancers and singers, and just fireworks. At the white party, I mean, there were literally fireworks, like 4th of July caliber fireworks happening. That right in the middle of that valley, as I thought about what it must have looked like to all the people at home that night.
Sure.
Truly the celebration of an industry that is pivotal to that country.
Yeah, I that evening was a great time. But there are parts that I just don't recall. Like we had a really good time, right? And I think, Teresa, keep me honest here. I think the white party started at 7. And I think would we come tripping?
Well, we went to an after party.
Would we come tripping in that night?
5 o'clock in the morning.
5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, it's been a little while since I've done that, right? And so it was just hard to say no, because there was just the people you were meeting.
Yeah.
You know, for me, I know a lot of folks by their Instagram handle, right? And so just being able to put the Instagram account with a face with their actual name and then actually have conversations was a true highlight, not only of that evening, but of the entire experience. Again, being able to meet Eric Newman at Fuente. And, you know, as we're getting the tour by the Fuente reps, Eric is chiming in and he's adding additional commentary, which was just very educational and really a great opportunity that we took full advantage of.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it was. And then Eric and David Swinburne too from Saint-Péray was incredibly gracious. I know you missed the last night, unfortunately.
I did.
Which is a gala dinner and auction, which is really the culmination of ProCigar, which is giving back to different local charities where they do this incredible auction of beautiful humidors that each of the ProCigar Association members had created. They set a record for the highest priced item ever to go at auction was $150,000 for a beautiful humidor collaboration between Fuente, Cyril Brizard from Brizard & Co. and St. Dupont, as well as an Italian humidor manufacturer, where they worked together to create this incredible piece, of course, filled with amazing Opus X cigars.
Absolutely.
And it went for $150,000, all for charity.
That's amazing.
Which was amazing. They raised over $618,000 that night.
Wow. Wow.
And so to me, and I am really sorry that you missed it. And I know that next year, hopefully, you know, I
got to pace myself.
We got, it's, and I think with Emmanuel, Manny will be able to do something pretty special for next year. And I can't wait. I really can't wait.
I know, to your earlier point, I mean, I was recently introduced to Saint-Péray through, I think I met David very briefly last year at PCA. But I had an opportunity to have a longer conversation with him during the events. Had an opportunity to have more of his cigars. Like, he was gracious enough. Every time we saw him, he was very gracious. I did, by missing that last evening, I did miss out on the Super Lancero. but my team,
we can help.
My team kept me informed. I got the videos of Teresa with the Super Lancero. I think Barrington had one as well. So that's next on my list.
That's the perfect cigar for that gala, because otherwise we would have smoked through another couple of cigars. I don't know how many cigars I smoked per day. I don't know if you kept count.
Who's counting?
Right? There you go. My voice could definitely tell that it was more than my usual. But just an incredible trip. Their logistics, the way the bus was right there in the morning, and women, the team from ProCigar are there helping everybody make sure you're getting on the right bus for the right tour every day. I mean, I felt so taken care of from the moment we got there until the moment we left.
Sure.
Right. And
It was well organized. And everything was top notch. The tours, the educational aspect of the tours, the food, the drink, they thought of everything, like when we first showed up at Snyder Farm at Davidoff, 9 a.m, we started with a cup of Dominican coffee, which is
so good.
some of the best in the world. And we were given 3 or 4 Davidoff cigars.
Yeah.
And Teresa and I, we looked at what we had, and we both picked the exact.
We
started with the anniversario.
There's nothing
correct?
like starting a day with an anniversario number 3.
9 o'clock in the morning.
And we should talk about, because this I think is really cool. It's different, isn't it?
That's correct. Oh,
right?
that's a good point.
Yeah.
So one of the things we didn't talk about is I think I walked away with conservatively 60 or 70 cigars. And of that 60 or 70, I probably have 20 Dominican Davidoffs in a separate bag. Because one thing that struck me from that first anniversario is that it was just a little different from what we typically have here in the States.
I think most cigar aficionados know this, that there's tobacco larvae in cigars that, given too much heat, too much humidity, hatch, and tobacco beetles work their way out of the cigar. And so if you ever see a cigar that has a bunch of little holes in it, that the beetles have hatched, and you got to make sure you're cleaning that humidor and getting rid of any of the cigars. And for us at the store, for decades, that was a real challenge.
Sure.
The infamous Georgetown tobacco stores, at one point, David actually had geckos in the humidors on little leashes that he thought were going to take care of tobacco beetles. I mean, I work in a very special place. But thankfully, science has progressed. And so they figured out in the DR and in Nicaragua and Honduras, cigar producing regions, that if they freeze the cigar for a period of time, it kills the larvae and it prevents tobacco beetles from hatching. So in the case of Davidoff, they actually freeze while they're in transit from the DR on the boats to Tampa.
Okay.
Other factories have these freezing facilities at the factory. And so it's done before they leave the country. But those cigars that we smoke while we're there have not been frozen. And it's just a little different.
Absolutely.
It's just a little different. And so that anniversario number 3 with the cup of Dominican coffee, surrounded by the tobacco field, curing barns in the background.
Absolutely.
I mean, please take me there. Like now, let's go back. I can't wait.
Yeah, no, I look forward to the next trip. And one of the things I hope to do is, you have limited time there, right? Mm-hmm. And there are more opportunities for tours than you have slots.
Yeah.
Right. So there are, La Aurora, LFD. I hope to make it to those locations when we go back next year.
Yeah. And that's what I learned a lot, right? This was my first time curating this trip. And so I had curated an original, of all the choices, here's what I think we should go do. And then you were quick to register.
Absolutely.
So you got
getting my slot.
You got the Georgetown Tobacco curated itinerary. Not everyone who joined us did.
Yeah.
And now I know that that's fine, right? Because we got together every night at dinner.
Yeah.
And we got to hear from our new friends what they saw.
Right.
Because they learned.
A couple of the guys went to different tours.
They went to EP Carrillo, they went to Tabacalera Palma, they went to La Flor Dominicana. And so, I'm not going to stress out about it. I'll still make recommendations.
Yep.
For those who register early. Here's what I would suggest. I did really appreciate being able to be with the group at certain times, to be able to fill in some holes and answer questions where things, people have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
When you see all that, it's a lot to take in. And so it was nice for me, the tobacconist, to be able to kind of talk through some of what we saw and answer questions. So I'm sad that I didn't get to do that with everybody at the same time. But you know what? You're in great hands.
Right.
Like you're with Lito Gomez. You're with Ernesto. Like it's not a problem.
Yeah, no. One of the things I look forward to is I did not get a chance to go to LFD, but Lito Gomez is coming to Maryland, I think, soon, later this week, I think. So I'm already planning for that. I think it's Thursday, so I'm looking forward to that. So I'll get a chance to meet him and hear the LFD story.
Yeah,
you know, everyone
which is
knows,
a great story.
Everyone knows about LFD.
Yeah.
Everyone knows about the Andalusian Bull, but they have a beautiful and a complete line.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that event so that I can learn a little bit more about their offering.
Yep.
I'm a big fan of the Andalusian Bull, so I'm keenly interested in attending this event so that I can get the full perspective of their offering. So
yeah. Then to your
looking
point,
forward to
the Bull, everybody talks about the Bull the way people talk about Opus X, but the other cigars that La Flor Dominicana makes are not to be overlooked. I mean, they're making great cigars.
That's it.
I call the Digger is like the unofficial cigar of the DC Fire Department. Guys are all good.
They're coming in.
The Digger is a big cigar.
Right.
They've got time in the firehouse, hopefully, right? Assuming the bell doesn't ring and they have to go out and save someone's life. But in the interim, LFD is powering the DC Fire Department.
Yeah,
for sure.
no, absolutely. So I'm looking forward to that. I mean, I look forward to the next opportunity at ProCigar. And again, you know, I thought that this episode would be a wonderful opportunity to maybe share our experiences with folks that didn't get a chance to go.
Yeah.
And I also hope that through our experience and sharing our experience, we'll open up opportunities for folks next year to attend.
I hope so.
So
I really
looking
do.
forward to that.
It always takes place the week after Valentine's Day. So everyone gets to spend Valentine's Day with their loved one.
Yep.
And then say bye or complete, you know, I love the couple that smokes together, stays together. I'm convinced. So come together and I think it's going to be I know it's going to be amazing. We just experienced it.
Yeah, no,
So-
I like I said, I mean, if I had to summarize the experience, just very educational, very humbling, to have an opportunity to spend time with the folks that led us through the tours and led us through the educational aspects. Getting to learn a little bit more about the Dominican culture was awesome.
Yeah.
And again, I'd never been to the DR, just a beautiful place that I look forward to revisiting. Any other, like, as we think about our experience, anything else that struck you or that you'd like to highlight as we wrap on the discussion around ProCigar?
Well, it's funny. One of the things that you talked about was planting that little seedling in the ground. And we all got to do that. And I had done it 2 years ago. And I think back to when I was in high school, I did an exchange in Heidelberg, Germany. And then there's a great castle in Heidelberg where they say if you put your footprint in this footprint that's in the like basically a big patio of the castle, that you'll be back. It brings you back. And now I'm convinced that planting that seedling brings you back.
That's it.
To the Dominican Republic. And so I really look forward to seeing more people plant those seedlings next year. And again, that opportunity to just give back a little bit to this culture that has given us so much. I mean, every moment of peace, of solitude, of joy, sorrow sometimes, where you're enjoying a cigar, it's because of the work that all those people put in that we get to enjoy this. I'm just incredibly grateful for what they do. I'm incredibly grateful to ProCigar for just the incredible way in which they've highlighted that.
Yeah.
It was a well-oiled machine. And as a retailer and as someone who's dedicated her life to this, it's an invaluable experience. And I hope that more people will get to join us and attend. There are also other festivals. Nicaragua has Puro Sabor. There's a similar festival in Honduras. I don't think they're at the point of ProCigar, certainly in terms of after 18 years. the infrastructure in the Dominican is a little better to support a big festival like that.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
But I look forward to those opportunities too, going to Nicaragua and going to Honduras, and learning more about those. It's invaluable time. This is all about relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm blessed to have a lot of these relationships in the industry, as you are too, through PCA, the Premium Cigar Association, the work we do with different manufacturers, and to see it, and then to see it through all of your eyes. It meant so much to me. And just the fact that you were willing to take that leap of faith.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And jump on the plane and go someplace you've never been with people you've never met. Was really something. So I'm very grateful to you and to the other guys.
No, like I said, I'm thankful for the opportunity. I'm thankful for you coming up with the idea of bringing us all together. And again, we learned a lot through the tours, but you filled in the gaps, which was really helpful,
Well,
right? So again, based on your experience and your knowledge, you were filling in gaps. And so we're all thankful for that. It just made for a very nice experience.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah.
Really and truly.
So again, looking forward to next year. And so again, we just want to say thanks and for pulling it all together, and just a wonderful experience. And I look forward to next year.
Yes.
So we'll go ahead and wrap. I did want to mention a couple things. We obviously are looking forward to PCA in April, again, down in New Orleans. Last year was my first show. This year will be my second. So first year, just trying to figure it all out. This time I'll be a little more thoughtful and strategic about how I spend time, based on my experience last year. So looking forward to that. And again, there are a number of things on the horizon for both Stogie Hub as well as the podcast. And I would be remiss. I did have an opportunity to chat with a colleague, Jason Laguerre. He runs a company called Milwaukee Humidor Company. And so I had a chat with him. And shortly after that first conversation, I went to his website, and he manufactures beautiful dry boxes, humidors, that he creates all of these himself. And so as I chatted more, the thought did occur to me to have him commission a humidor for the podcast. And so the humidor here, the dry box, again, Jason put this together for me. It's the Burn and Learn dry box. And so if you open this up, just a beautiful product. It's got the Milwaukee Humidor Company inside. And this holds 8 or 10 cigars. And a dry box is really meant for you to, the way I use it is I will take 8 to 10 cigars on any given day, and I'll set them in the dry box. And those are the cigars that I intend to smoke in the following week or so. And so that's how I use the dry box. And so I've had this for a couple of months now, and I'm just struck by the craftsmanship, the meticulous nature for the processing, and the art and craft that Jason has. So I wanted to make certain that I spent some time highlighting that, and I want to really thank him for creating this basically one of one humidors. So I want to say, Jason, thanks for that. Truly enjoying it. And if you have an opportunity or in the market for a humidor or a dry box, make certain that you check out Jason's website. I think it's MilwaukeeHumidorCo.com. So I wanted to just take a couple of minutes to say thank you to him. And with that, if we don't have any other parting words, we can go ahead and wrap.
Thank you for having me.
Well, again, last time you were on, I made it a point to extend an invitation for a follow-up. And as we had such a wonderful experience at ProCigar, doing a download and sharing our experience in an episode just made a lot of sense. And so appreciate you creating time and space on your calendar to come back together
Of course.
for another great stick,
Anytime.
as well as a wonderful conversation. So with that, again, we'll wrap. Again, I'd like to say thank you to Teresa for not only joining us tonight, but also curating a wonderful event. I'd like to say thank you to Shane and James at Rebellion. And again, Kurt and Ken with Access Studios for putting together what will be another beautiful episode of Burn and Learn. So with that, we'll go ahead and wrap. I hope everyone has a great evening.
Thanks for lighting one up with us. That was Stephen Mann. And you've been listening to Burn and Learn, the Cigar Lifestyle Podcast. Don't forget to visit our YouTube channel for exclusive content and hit that subscribe button to stay updated.